Chairperson, Director General of FAO, Excellencies, the distinguished delegates. Firstly, let me congratulate Honorable Inua Seri Yatu, Minister for Agriculture, Rural and Maritime Development and National Disaster Management, and Meteorological Services of Fiji for assuming the chairperson for the APRC conference for 2018. Let me also thank the government of Fiji for the excellent organization of this conference and the warm hospitality provided to my delegation. I would also like to thank FAO for its contribution to the hosting and running of the conference. Although PNG economy is dominated by minerals, oil, and gas resources, agriculture, forestry, fisheries are important sectors in PNG because they are a source of food, income, export revenue, and employment. Agriculture sector alone supports about 85% of the population, who mainly lives in the rural areas. And agriculture is the main source of income, which is estimated to be about 200 million per year. In terms of national economy, the agriculture sector contributes about 28% of the total GDP, and agriculture exports accounts for about 17% of the total value of exports, mainly from exports of industrial crops such as palm oil, cocoa, coffee, coconut, rubber, and tea. However, the progress of agriculture development in the country is threatened by food insecurity. That is mainly due to two factors. One, poor quality and diet, and two, poor accessibility of food caused by A, high level of poverty, B, poor physical access and food distribution caused by poor road and transport infrastructure linking production centers to markets and consumption points. And C, disruption of food supplies caused by diverse climate change, such as drought and floods and natural disasters like volcanoes and earthquakes. Food quality is not a problem because Papua New Guinea produces abundant quantities of local food, which provides 80% of the energy requirements. The main issue is undernutrition caused by low level of proteins in the diet. As a result, Papua New Guinea has a very high stunting level of about 48% in children under 5 years old, a high level of poverty of about 40% in rural areas, and high risk of adverse climate change that affects food production and the supply chains and accessibility to food. Another challenge is the increase of population growth. Papua New Guinea population is growing at a rate of 3% per year, and it is estimated that the population will double by 2030, and food production has to be increased by 70% to meet the food demand. A major threat which is common in the Asia-Pacific region is the climate change that has a very significant effect on food security. This demand the need to use more sustainable farming practices, such as climate-smart resilience food farming systems to cope with the threat of climate change and sustain food production and food security for our communities. The country is a net importer of food and relies heavily on food imports to complement its local food. PNG imports huge quantities of food from abroad to meet its domestic needs, worth about 1 billion kina per year. Food imports are dominated by cereal and meat, with an average value of 560 million kina and 410 million kina, respectively, from 2012 to 2016. Rice accounts for about 90% of the cereal import, while sheep meat dominates the meat imports. The national government is seriously promoting food self-sufficiency and import replacement on food items, that the country has comparative advantage as a long-term strategy to enhance the capacity of the country to produce its own food for long-term sustainability and to reduce food import bills. Accessibility to food is affected mainly by high level of poverty, especially in the rural remote areas where level of income is very low, and adverse physical access to food caused by poor or lack of roads linking urban areas to rural areas. The main threats to stability of food supply are natural disasters like earthquakes, tsunamis, and climate events such as floods and droughts that affects food production and supply in PNG. The drought, and it's a drought that's caused by El Nino, Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. PNG is prone to ENSO, which is now occurring frequently at a cycle of 10 to 20 years. The El Nino climate event is a major threat to food security in PNG because it affects large number of people in large areas. In 2015-16 El Nino, about 3 million people, that is 42% of the total population, were affected in Category 4 and 5 areas, mainly in the Highlands region. The PNG National Strategic Development Plan 2010-2030 and the Png Vision 2050 provides the roadmap for PNG national development, including agriculture, over the next 20 to 40 years. The goal of PNG SDP is to ensure that PNG becomes a middle-income country and a country by 2030, whilst the goal of Png Vision 50 is to make PNG a smart, fair, wealthy, happy, and healthy nation by 2050. The implementation of these two plans will be conducted on medium-term basis by a series of medium-term development plans from 2010 to 2030. So far, the 2 MDDPs have been implemented. MDDP 1, 2010 to 2015, and MDDP 2, 2016-2017. The next, that is the MDDP 3, will be run from 2018 to 2022, and subsequent ones will be synchronized with the parliamentary cycle. Both MDDP 1 and MDDP 2 adopt common goals and strategies for the agriculture sector. The goal is aimed at improving market access for agriculture products for both large-scale agriculture and smallholder farming. To achieve this goal, the following strategies will be implemented. These are: 1, land reform and access; 2, provision of adequate extension services; 3, institutional reform in the agriculture sector; 4, improving road infrastructure to facilitate farmers' access to market and support services; 5, rehabilitation of industrial crops and livestock sector; and 6, eradication and control of pests and diseases and adaptation of Codex standards to facilitate export of agriculture products. Hence, the strategic approach of MDDP 1 and MDDP 2 for the agriculture sector is focused on contributing to the achievement of wealth creation, which is one of the pillars of Png Vision 50. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, let me inform you that PNG will, with the technical assistance of FAO, has already formulated a new national food security policy in 2016, which is now awaiting National Executive Council approval. The policy, which is called the Papua New Guinea National Food Security Policy 2016 to 2025, is a very comprehensive and focused on issues such as nutrition, women, and smallholder farmers, which it puts at the forefront of this policy. The goal, action areas, and outcomes of this policy are well aligned to the relevant SDG targets, especially Target 2, and the core components of Zero Hunger Challenge. The policy will also guide PNG implement actions identified in the action plans for SIDS and Pacific SIDS, especially in areas of food security, climate change, nutrition, and natural resource management. The goal of PNG National Food Security Policy is to enable all Papua New Guineans to access and consume sufficient, safe, affordable, and nutritious food at all times. Hence, the goal of this policy aligns well with the Png Vision 2050 targets of achieving healthy, empowered, educated, and happy population and being in the top 50 in the United Nations Human Development Index. The 5 strategic action areas of this policy are: 1, productivity and farm output growth of the main food staples, horticulture, small livestock, fish farming, increasing efficiency along the entire food chain. 2, building stability and resilience into food production and supply systems. 3, enhance nutrient content and balance of food products consumed by nutritionally vulnerable households and individuals. 4, empowerment of women in agriculture. 5, strengthen governance and coordination, monitoring and communication. These strategy actions will deliver the following outcomes: 1, local nutrition food production increased and producers better linked to markets. 2, enhance stability and resilience in food production and supply. 3, improve access to nutritious foods for vulnerable households and individuals. And 4, sustainable income generating opportunities for women increase to enhance economic access to nutritious food for children and families. And 5, successful implementation of food security policy and programs at national, provincial, and district levels. The key indicators and targets to be achieved by the policy in 2025 are: A, malnutrition in the form of stunting will be reduced by 30%, underweight to be reduced by 10%, and wasting to be reduced by 2%. B, stable food production to increase by 70%, and C, livestock numbers to increase by 20%, and these increase protein consumption by 0.8 gram per kg of body weight per day. To achieve these targets, coordinated actions will be required to successfully implement this policy together with the National Nutrition Policy and National Food Safety Policy, which are under the domain of Department of Health and the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Policy due to the importance of water for human consumption, sanitation, and for farming of food crops like livestock and fish. The malnutrition problem will be addressed through close cooperation of Department of the Agriculture and Livestock and the Department of Health and other relevant stakeholders. The agriculture approach of addressing protein deficiency will be conducted through farming diversification by introducing protein-rich food in the farming systems, mainly through livestock and aquaculture, farming and cultivation of protein foods, rich food for crops. The National Department of Health will also undertake the health approach in addressing malnutrition through the following interventions: 1, strengthening nutritional education, 2, promotion and support for breastfeeding, 3, improve maternal health and nutrition, fortification of cereals with vitamins, 4, vitamin supplementation, 5, universal salt iodization, 6, provide support strategies in areas of availability of clean, sufficient water and sanitation, 7, strengthen malaria prevention and treatment, and 8, promote diet diversification. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to thank FAO for its continuing valuable support to PNG agriculture, forestry, and fisheries sectors. The current FAO support is worth $8.5 million for the 9 ongoing technical cooperation projects. I would also like to thank FAO for establishment of the FAO country office in PNG in 2013, in line with its current decentralization policy that was initiated by the current Director General of FAO, and is one of his core policies which has proved to be successful. In fact, PNG is now reaping the benefits of FAO country office, indicated by the significant increased number of projects and funding. Let me assure the Director General of FAO that PNG is fully committed and support the establishment and coordination of operation of the FAO country office into a fully fledged FAO country office and accreditation arrangements in line with the FAO Council decision and as per the host country agreement that we plan to finalize and sign up before the end of this year. With that, I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.